So, hi everyone, welcome back to Voices of Impact. I'm your host, Veena Ramaswamy, executive coach and founder of Beautifully Empowered Coaching Consulting. So, every week on this show, we explore leadership through a different lens, right? So, not just the titles and achievements, but the lived experiences, the personal growth, and the quiet moments that shape who leaders become. And today we're taking a step into the world of organizational transformation, the kind that doesn't just change systems, but elevates people, right? So my guest today is someone whose work embodies that blend of strategy, empathy, and purposeful impact. So Amelia Nicome, Vice President of Corporate Services at TTIFC, a LinkedIn top voice, which is amazing, a cross-functional strategist, and a leader known for turning complexity into clarity across operations, governance, HR, risk, finance, tech, everything, right? So, over the past 16 plus years, Amelia has held roles including Chief Corporate Officer, Chief Governance Officer, and Chief Operations Officer, all C suite, guiding organizations through transformation with a combination of people first, leadership, and sharp operational insight. So, what I admire most about Amelia is how she grounds her leadership in humanity, right? So, beyond her corporate work, similar to me, right? Amelia is deeply passionate about coaching consulting leaders, helping unlock confidence, clarity, and their highest potential in a rapidly evolving world. So, Amelia, I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome to Voices of Impact.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Awesome. This is great. So, yeah, going into your journey, you've spent 16 plus years leading across so many different domains, right? Marketing, HR, legal, which is very inspiring and spanning the full spectrum of corporate services. So, what first inspired you to pursue leadership at this level?
So, if I'm going to be very honest with you, that actually was not even the goal. It
Hmm.
was really going into the corporate world and just seeing where my place was.
Hmm.
And what I think I discovered was that no one place worked for me. And what I realized is that I really like seeing leadership the same way you would see a puzzle. So there's so many pieces, but you must build the pieces together in order to get a full picture.
Hmm.
And when I realized one area was not it for me, I said, okay, let me try different things. Let's see what happens. And I realized operations and being a little bit more of a generalist was where my speciality was. I appreciated the ability to integrate each of the various functions within an entity, and that we would always provide a unique perspective to whatever is happening in front of me. Really easy to break down silos, and that we holistically approach whatever
Yeah.
needs to get done.
Hmm. That's awesome. Yeah. And sometimes, like, even for me, it wasn't really the goal. Sometimes you just, it's an experiment. It's like a trial and error. You kind of have to go and figure things out. So I love that. That's amazing. Very inspiring. So your thought leadership on LinkedIn, especially, was something that I was admiring a lot because it was very resonating with leadership on a deeply human level. So when
Okay.
did you realize your voice wasn't just strategic, but it's actually very influential?
I don't think I've come to terms with influential. I see myself as I have a lot to say. I have a lot of opinions, and I'm more than willing to share them. Individuals sometimes appreciate it and sometimes they don't, and that's
Mhm.
fine and that's fair. And you have to give everyone the space to be who they are and to have that preference. So based on that, I share my opinions and I encourage conversations more than thinking of it as being an influencer per se.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And of course, I mean, I think influencer is just like this buzzword, but what I mean by
it's true.
influential is like just spreading the message across, right? So, I mean, when it comes to strategic, it's like, yeah, just having that voice and your opinions. But I think a lot of women especially struggle to even put that themselves out there. So influencing
That's
other
true.
women and really inspiring them to take action is what we do. I think both of us have that mission. So
Yeah,
I think that's what you're doing, which is great. Just taking the first step and having the courage to put it out there is awesome, right?
it
So
is. And
yeah,
and it's always
and
not easy either.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
for me, in terms of, okay, so if we go back to the influential side, I think what pushed me, I did a lot of work with interns and young people coming into the corporate world. And it's so unfortunate that they really don't have the tools they need
Hmm.
to survive in the corporate world. No one took the time to explain what do you need to do. Maybe how do you need to dress? How do you show up
Exactly.
every day? How do you start navigating sometimes the politics you find in the workplace? And where I'm from in Trinidad, we have a program called the OJT, so the On the Job Learning Program. So we have individuals that come straight from school into the world of work. And based on that, I realized, okay, there's a major gap happening.
Yeah.
So I continue to work with the program and essentially develop specialized training for these individuals that come into this space. And in there, I realized, okay, more needs to be said, more needs to be done because they're not the only ones. There are other
Right.
individuals out there that really need the help and the support. So I
Hmm.
started doing some mentorship and teaming up with other entities as well to try to just, it's really just about giving back because I didn't have it coming into the world of work. And now I think there's so much more of a need for it that if you have the experience, give back, share and try to make a difference and change the narrative for other individuals.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, influential is all about just, like you said, giving back to the community, helping people see their full potential, right?
yeah,
Whoever needs the help in any way or form, right? It doesn't have to be corporate, but if you have a talent and a gift, which is why I love what I do right now, just helping others, see what they can really achieve, what they truly deserve
yeah. That's
in
great.
all levels. And yeah, and I think mentoring has changed my life and how I see life in a different lens at a young age, right? So, and I love what I do. And this is what it's all about, just giving value, giving back. And that's what the new definition of influential and,
Influencer.
influence means, right?
Yeah,
So
totally agree with you.
owning your voice and talking about this on a podcast and having, like, shaping the next generation of leaders. Hey, like, you also
Exactly.
do the same,
Yes.
right? So that's what it's all about. So going into the next question of, I know being a LinkedIn top voice is very inspiring and it's not easy, right? So how did this expand your approach to developing leaders as you were mentoring? Like, what qualities do you now view as essential in emerging talent?
So the first part of the question, for me, I realize in becoming a top voice, when you start seeing the articles and what comes out of it many times, individuals are almost afraid to ask questions sometimes. And I think that
Mhm.
is not wanting to appear of, not owning their space or knowing enough or being positioned as an expert. But the reality is we all have to learn. We have to continue learning, which goes into the second part of the question. So I think continuous learning is essential
Right.
as an SME, for an entrepreneur, for anyone
Yeah.
who wants to position themselves ahead of the curve. You never know everything.
Right.
And technology is changing daily. Information, research papers. I mean, you name it, the internet is full with a lot of information. So you have to find a way to keep abreast and to continually learn and expand these skills and revamp, upskill yourself as well. So
Hmm.
that it's never a situation where you are left behind the curve. You're either on or in front of the curve. So that way, you have a good idea of what the market brings. You can identify your trends and everything else that's going on around you. You can scan your business environment with a different set of lens. So that would be my main, um, I guess, skill set that
Yeah.
coming out of it, I think really would serve well.
Yeah. And I totally agree with this, which is great because, like, yes, continuous learning
Yeah,
is lagging now. It's a lacking skill because I feel like we come into this thinking one thing, but in reality, it's different, right?
yeah,
So whether that's corporate or business, like you said, there's so many coaches, there's so many people out there, corporate, all information, thought leadership. But knowing what really aligns with you, right? There's so many
correct,
information, but what aligns with you, what do you value?
correct,
And using that information wisely and thinking like, okay, well, how can I work smarter? Right? Is this really for me? Because I know as an entrepreneur of my own story, there are so many people who are like, write content, do this, and it was overwhelming, right? So how can I take those and make it so that it aligns with me and have a path of least resistance, right? So I found my strength as in like connecting, human connection rather than
right,
AI. And I use
okay.
that to my advantage, right? So I think just simply knowing and learning from others, but in a way that resonates with you. So definitely, because it's just so much that you have to keep up with, right? So absolutely.
Correct.
Number one for emerging leaders and to stand out. We cannot be reactive. We need to be proactive
Proactive, correct. Yes, I
in this
agree with that.
corporate and entrepreneurs. So that's a great, tip that you gave us. So going into now your specific leadership. So I
Sure.
know with your background spanning multiple functions, how do you approach aligning organization's vision with the day-to-day execution? Because this is a struggle that a lot of leaders are facing, but what has worked for you that you would want to like share with others today?
So it might sound really simple, but I would
Mhm.
say start with the end in mind.
Yeah.
Reverse engineer. It makes it significantly easier. If
Hmm.
the goal is short term, within 1 year, we have to, if it's hit targets, if we have to expand branches, whatever the goal is. And I say these things and I want to share also, even though there's a business context, if you apply it in your personal life, it's brilliant. So if whatever the goal is, you start working backward. Okay, so in order for me to achieve, what are the resources I actually need to get there?
Yeah.
So you start breaking down the resources. What are the timelines? What's the skills that I actually need to get there? And if you reverse engineer, it makes the path clearer. So when you see it in front of you, you know, okay,
Mhm.
yes, this is the direction we're going. There's a lot less trial and error. So
Mhm.
you save on your time. You save on the resources. You save on everything that you have to invest to get to where you need to be. So honestly, I know it seems really simple, but
Right.
many individuals may not take that approach. We always seem to think it has to be linear, which
Exactly.
it doesn't always have to be neat and compact. It can be messy at times, but if I know realistically what I'm looking for and I know what success looks like as well, which is why I say start with the end in mind. Because at the end, you're assuming you're successful.
Hmm.
So once you have achieved and you have a very clear vision of what success looks like and you build that backward, then
Yeah.
you're able to now get the resource in, the skills, expertise, training, individuals, whatever it is that you need, the investments of the resources into your track, then you're able to get it a lot easier.
Yeah. No, this is great. I love how you said it. It seems simple, and I do the exact same approach. It's like the top down. Like people are first looking at the operational when I talk to other executives, and then they're like, what's the vision,
Yeah,
right?
no.
And sometimes it doesn't work that way. It's like you have to get the bigger picture, like you said, like getting super clear on what
Yeah,
is that vision, what excites you, what does that look like for you? And vision meaning like even if it's like 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, like really ask yourself. And then, like you said, break it down into smaller pieces and manage your
correct.
time and your timeline. Like I said, it's easy to say, but once you do it, it is a little difficult and holding yourself accountable. But that, yes, that's
That
exactly
is a very big part of
perfect.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. I
The
mean, just
accountability is
literally.
real.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, I mentioned the vision mapping session with you and before. I think that's exactly how I approach it as well.
Yeah.
And then they're like, wait, I didn't know that this. Like they just find themselves like, wait a minute, I didn't think of it this way. So I love how you talked about that today. Super important because I know people have been approaching it very differently. So
Well, I
whoever's
hope it
listening,
helps. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So whoever's listening, I know both of us are coaches, so this is a really good way to align a vision with day to day and see if it works for you guys.
Yeah.
It should, especially when you're in corporate, when you have so many things going on, like I said, so many functions. So I
Yeah.
love that. And yeah, so in your opinion, I know this is a question that I've been kind of, pondering on, but what separates organizations that scale from those that just simply survive?
Hmm. So, scaling. I'm going to say the same thing. Start with the end in mind.
Yeah, yeah.
Because organizations that survive, they're out in fires that may not even need to have been started. They're stuck at the operational level.
Hmm.
Whereas if you're going to scale, you have a vision. You
Yeah.
know, um, we're going to expand if that is the dream. What does it mean, or what do I actually need to expand where I'm at? Am I going to be willing to, and I go back to the skill set because a lot of organizations are not willing to invest in specific skills in terms of the human resources. So we think programs are going to do everything. You have to have a skill to run a program effectively. Garbage in, garbage out. As simple as the rules seem. And I really believe in simplicity as opposed to complexity. So if we're going to scale, why are we scaling? What's the market we're servicing? Are we going to expand into different markets? But many entities, I don't think they take the time to understand what scaling looks like.
Right.
And maybe if an opportunity presents itself, they jump at every opportunity as opposed to understanding opportunity cost. There's a cost to going after each
Exactly.
opportunity. And once you take one particular opportunity, it's never going to present itself in exactly the same way again. Is this what you really need? Is this aligned with what your vision is, where you see your company going 5 years from now? And it's not always about just hopping after everything in front of you. You really have to be strategic and specific, understanding that time is your most limited resource. So if
Hmm.
you invested wisely by identifying what the growth over that time is going to look like, then it's a massive investment or a return on investment for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow, you touched on so many things like that I love. Time is like such a precious resource, and I
it
can't
is.
emphasize that. So, whoever's listening, especially executives, and the corporate, I think what's amazing about both of us, and especially you, like you have that entrepreneurial mindset with the corporate experience, which is
Yeah,
which is
I
very
really try
unique,
to
right?
shake it up a little bit.
Yeah, likewise. I love how you're versatile. That just really is nice and how what insights you're bringing to the table. And like you said, being very intentional, right? So I know a lot of
Correct.
people just kind of go in without looking at what is
They
it
do.
costing me? It's costing me time. It's costing me actual like quality time with my family. Like sometimes I ask and they're like, this is what I'm supposed to do, Vina. And when they just kind of go in without thinking, like
Oh,
what does this vision mean to you? Like I asked them the why, right? Then that's what makes
yeah.
them a difference between scaling and surviving. Surviving is more survival mode, like fear, and you're not willing to like slow down versus scaling is like you said, being more strategic, slowing down, understanding like what does this truly mean for your business or corporate day? Like is it more freedom for you? Is it more time with your family for you? Is it more work-life balance? Like, what does this
Yeah,
truly mean? Like you said, defining the real definition of success for that person. It's different for each person, right?
it is.
So we're not just trying to just follow shiny objects, right? It's more about what do we truly desire internally? And I think a lot of executives and corporate, especially even entrepreneurs, that's what makes a difference between surviving and thriving. And I think that's a huge lesson that I've learned in my life that made me successful, and of course you as well. So thank you for sharing that. I love that. So going into executive leadership, so you often say that leaders are human too, right? So something
Yeah.
people rarely acknowledge because we're always seen to be like so perfect, right? We have to be so perfect and everything. So why do you think this message resonates so strongly today, especially whether that's corporate or entrepreneurship?
Um, so you touched on it. There's a lot of pressure for leaders to present as perfect. No one's perfect, especially the leaders. I mean, they may do a better job of covering it up sometimes,
Hmm. Hmm.
but they're not perfect. And in
Yeah,
reality, there's so much information from employees who have bad relationships with their leaders, so many memes and how horrible it is, and I don't want to go to work and everything else, and it's tied to leadership. Whereas if we pause and realize, okay, maybe the leader who is a human being might be going through something, it
right.
starts to change the narrative. It changes the conversation that's happening. Suppose your leader has a medical condition that they just don't feel they want to disclose. Whereas we encourage employees, let us know if you're, for example, like if you're diabetic and you need time off to do whatever it is you have to do. Many times that two-way conversation doesn't happen with leadership and employees, so that employees start seeing leaders as humans. It very much will change the narrative. It will change the approach. It might even encourage actually building relationship with leaders, a two-way relationship as opposed to I have a great boss, I have a great manager. That's very one-sided. When it comes down to it, is the employee able to now give back from a human level? Are you okay today? You don't look yourself.
Right.
Just taking a personal interest in the person who's carrying the position because many things go into a leadership position that you can't always share and disclose. And it's not
Right.
always the easiest thing. And unfortunately, sometimes when I post on this, I get comments, well, that's what they're paid to do, which I think is extremely
Yeah.
inhumane.
Right.
There is a person behind the title. And
Yes.
if we see it that way and approach things with that lens, then we change the entire narrative of what corporate life could be and what it looks like. And I always believe we influence each other. We have to spend 8 hours a day with each other.
Hmm.
So if we can have civility, I always start at civility and can grow from there. But we need to be civil with each other. Are you
Yeah.
okay? How's your day going? Do you need anything? I will ask my staff that.
Yes. I love.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
and if I start, my expectation is I'm taking the responsibility to start, then hopefully it catches on. And even if it's not directly at the leader and they're able to do it among their peers, it helps the leader as well. So what you have is a much better work environment. So there's a little bit less on your plate that you have to be cognizant of. Yeah,
Yes. I love how you mentioned every one of these, like just leading with empathy. And you're such a true leader, that I love just like how you're leading your teams or in your, consultancy or your, corporate. Like it's just so important to just ask, like, how are you
yeah,
feeling? Are you okay? Like you said. And this is something that I enjoy doing because for me, it's so important for my people, my team or my clients to just be like, I literally do an audit of like, what do you need from me? What support do you need? Even for my friends or
yeah.
partner, and for everyone, because everyone's going through a lot. And to have some
That's
manager
true.
employee have like, okay, well, you didn't do the work today or you're fired is different from like what was
What's
really
going on?
yeah.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
really happening? There's a lot going on now, especially with like mental health and everything. And, I think one of my clients, she was like, Nina, I think I need a pause. I'm just going through a lot. My kids are sick. And I was like, yes, go take your break. Go do what you need to do. Right. Rather than like coming from a place of like, I need you to do the work. Right. So it's all about understanding what your team needs and fostering that like place of that safe culture, making them feel seen and
Correct.
heard.
Yeah.
And, I think that's just so important that it's really missing in corporate. A lot of executives have told me, like, like I'm limited in my creativity. Like, I want to bring this to the table, but I'm
That is so
limited.
true. That is
Yeah.
true.
And I am burnt out. And, they're scared to even set boundaries, and I want to see more managers having that transformational leadership and human aspect of it, so I totally agree, such an important topic to talk about. So I love how you just kind of brought that up and how important that is. So yeah,
So,
it's a message that resonates so strongly with everyone. So as someone responsible for high stakes decisions, so I think this is a very important topic that I wanted to kind of bring to light. But how do you balance the external leadership with your internal human experience, like the pressure, the emotions, the life behind the title? Because, like, as a woman, it's
there's a
like we
lot.
have so much,
Yeah.
and then it's like I have to perform, but I also have to be present. Like, how do you balance that? And I think this is a question for all women.
So, I try to do whatever I have to do in terms of a framework because it makes it just a little bit easier. So, my go-to is to plan. There's a framework again that's called like the Wheel of Life,
Mhm,
where you get to
mhm.
prioritize what you need to focus on like right now. And as you mentioned, so what I do quarterly audits on myself. And in these
Yeah.
quarterly audits, I identify, okay, so what's going to be my focus for this quarter? And based on that, I plan. After I plan, I identify what I could delegate. I cannot do it all. And that was one of the hardest lessons for me to learn and come to terms with. I cannot do it all.
Mhm.
And when I accepted that, I was able to delegate and let go. Quite a number of things that should not be taking up my time. So plan, delegate, make sure you have a good team at home and in the office so
Yeah.
that when you delegate, you trust it's going to happen and you don't have to go back to that and expend energy there. Commit. After I've delegated and I now have my actual list, I have to commit to this because there are days you get up and you really do not feel like showing up. But the commitment and the discipline is necessary. So you get up
Mhm.
and you get moving, even if it is, I literally just tell myself, okay, one foot in front of the other, the days that I am really tired. And once you start and you get the momentum, you realize you continue and you go. And after the commitment is there, execute. Because we can plan, we can delegate, we can commit, but unless we actually execute what's on the list, it makes no sense.
Mhm.
We're just going to end up with very long to-do lists as opposed to being able to say I was able to achieve three things I set my mind to today. And it doesn't have to be any spectacular number. If I get up out of bed and I'm really not feeling myself, if I get three things done, I am happy with myself. It's three more than zero. So
Mhm.
counting the small wins. And that for me is usually how I go through the day. I identify and I treat with anything that I have to.
Nice. So I love that. The Wheel of Life, it definitely helped me as well. Just doing audits. And I
Yeah,
think just taking the time for all women, just even if it's 5 minutes, to just self-reflect. Like, where is my energy going? That's what I just do. And I gave this to my clients, and they were like, Vina, like, thank you so much for just letting me slow down and think about this.
correct.
Like, from a scale of 1 to 10, I was like, how do you truly feel? And what do you need to do? Like, how can I support you? So that you can kind of feel more energized and rejuvenated. Like, if you want to take a break to, like, really take a nap or something, go ahead. Like, but let's block time for that. Really
Exactly.
blocking the time for self-care.
Yeah,
And we say this for so many people, like, it's so important because we cannot be hustling and grinding all the time. We're not wired, especially as women. And I think as women, especially, I think we thrive more in our feminine energy. This is a lesson that I've learned. And like you said, just start delegating if you can. And this is what I am actually doing this morning, right? I was trying to do everything with myself. And I was like, I need to delegate. Like, why haven't I delegated things? And this is like, I feel like you're speaking to me in a way that this is a reminder that I'm like giving myself, right? So it's okay to ask for help, a huge
and to
message.
accept the help. Because
Yes.
sometimes we ask, and then when we get the help, we go, well, maybe I don't really need it. And you touched on it. So part of our feminine energy is allowing ourselves to be helped.
Yes,
S-
yes. And
Yeah,
this is something I've struggled a lot, right? Receiving the love, receiving compliments, receiving help,
we
you
have to learn to
know,
accept it.
yeah, and accept it. Accept that we do. And I've talked to leaders recently, and they were like, it was a little struggle to be vulnerable and to a message. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay
It
to
is.
be like, hey, Vina, I need some help. And to work with someone to get that help, right? To, or have a community to be like, yeah, maybe I just need a sounding board and it's okay, right? But there's no need to do things alone. So I love how you have that framework in place. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Sure.
And yeah, so just, how do you approach tough conversations in a way that maintains dignity and focus on forward progress?
My ground rule is respect.
Yeah,
I am at no point am I going to disrespect anyone. And we're going to have a conversation. And I usually set the rules before we start. So if it's going to be a difficult conversation, I say, Vina, we're going to have a conversation. It may not be the most pleasant. However,
exactly.
um, there is no disrespect. I'm not intending to hurt your feelings or harm you in any way. And I ask that you reciprocate. So we set the ground rules. We are having a conversation and we're going to be identifying things that are being done that we want to address, nip in the bud, or change. This is not a conversation about Vina. This is about items that Vina are doing. And we're going to see how we can improve on what those items are. So
Right,
I usually set that type of framework before we start. So if at any point you feel like the conversation feels as if it's attacking you, you tell me. You need to tell me
right.
so that
Yeah.
we reframe it, we pause, we go again, we defer, but it's not a situation of, and I also don't see it as a hard conversation. I see it as a necessary conversation. If I'm generally wanting to help this person and the performance is not what it should be, If I say nothing, then I'm setting them up for failure. I don't
Hmm.
want to do that to them. So my intention is always from a place of development and growth and well-being. It's never that I'm coming at you and I'm going to get you. I really want you to leave here understanding what the break is, the gap is, and I usually frame it that way as well. This is my expectation. This is what the performance has been. There is a gap. Let's see how we can close the gap.
Right.
This is not, I don't like you. I'm coming at you. I want you to feel bad. It's never a conversation like that. So in my head, it's not a difficult conversation. It's a gap conversation. We're
Exactly.
having this conversation to close the gap. And you tell me what you need to do better or to perform at a different level. And that way I can now provide and give the support that's needed so that we can improve the performance.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Exactly. I love the framework. And like you said, it's not about the person. It's just
it's not.
looking at what items are needed, like where you are right now, where do you need to go, and how can you close that gap? Like
Yeah,
very, very well said. And yeah, I mean, I know some people take, some things as these conversations are uncomfortable with it. But, I love how you navigate that, right? So looking at what do you really need, what support, giving them that safe space, right? And I'm coming from a genuine place of I really want to serve, I really want to help, right? So having those tough conversations is, like you said, it's not really tough, just having a conversation of so much transparency and just pure honesty, right? And
correct.
that's what it's all about. So, no, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing it. I know we're a little time because we had a great conversation, but quickly getting into the rapid fire round, we'll
Sure.
ask a few questions, but let's see. Dream travel destination to reset for you.
Bali.
Oh, yes. I haven't gone to Bali, but like there's a retreat. I think we should go together. Yeah, I think that'd be amazing. No, that's great. I love it. There's so many retreats, and Bali's the best place to reset. I haven't even been there. That's great. So let's see. A show or movie you love that people wouldn't expect.
Sesame Street.
Mm. I didn't expect that you'd say that. So yeah. No, why?
Um, I think the innocence in it.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
just pure. It's fun. It's light.
It's cute. It's
Yeah,
cute. I would watch it. I think it brings, when you say Sesame Street, it just really brings out the inner child. That's another
it
thing.
does.
For a woman, I think sometimes I think I need to bring out the inner child, and I watch like, these animated movies or just going back to my childhood shows. So I love how you said that, honestly. It's great. Yeah. And yes, for everyone listening, where can they follow you, learn from you, or stay connected with your work online?
So the best place to connect with me would be via LinkedIn. I'm pretty sure you would have shared my profile, so it's just
Yes.
Amelia S. If you search Amelia S, it comes up, or you can follow my hashtag, which is Amizen, Amezen. Yeah,
Nice. Wow, Abby's Zen. I love that. I love that. So definitely I want to learn more from you with your like Zen thing. So no, this is great. I love this. Amelia, thank you so much for insightful, heartful conversation.
thank you
So
for
your
having me. This was
approach
fun.
to, yeah, this is great. I think we need to have more conversations like this. I just love your vibe. And yes, your approach, which is blending the structure with compassion and humanity, I think is powerful, right? Because it's a reminder that real impact begins with how we show up for our people and then just
Right
kind
there.
of have a ripple effect. So it's all about alignment, courage, and creating environments where people can rise. That's why we love what we do, both of us as coaches and consultants. So for everyone listening, Voices of Impact is now available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So if today's episode shifted your perspective or gave you something to reflect on, I would love for you to follow, rate, and share it with someone who'd benefit from Amelia's wisdom. She's great. So thank you again for tuning in. Your messages, feedback, and support continue to shape the show in the most meaningful way. And I've gotten a lot of compliments, so thank you. If you're an executive founder with a story that can spark change, connect with me at Vina Ramaswamy on LinkedIn. I'd love to explore whether you'd be a great fit for a future podcast episode. So until next time, lead with integrity, stay grounded, and keep creating impact in your own authentic way.